Oh, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Lyndhurst Community News. Let's see if my voice holds up again this week. Ooh, music went out a little quickly there. Normally I lower the volume, but yeah, the voice is still scratchy. These allergies have been incredible for me, and I never, ever had allergies growing up. And I know some people who suffer from terrible allergies. Many of you probably do. But this is one heck of a year, and I can't wait till this is over. So the voice is here. It's scratchy, but hopefully, as I say, it will hold up. It's better than it was last week. And again, thank you for those of you sending your well wishes in. And I wish all of you suffering from allergies the best as well. All right, it's a quiet week. We're heading into summer. And as I say, there isn't much that goes on. So I'm trying to come up with some ideas of various different topics to cover on the news, assuming that some weeks there may be no news to report in the summertime. You're all traveling, people are away, they're down the shore, kids are busy getting ready for college. So I'm going to go over a couple of things today, and one of them I'm going to share with you at the end is a clips of several of the candidates running for governor speaking about their ideas of how to handle this affordable housing situation, which affects every municipality in the entire state of New Jersey. This goes back to the Mount Laurel court case, some 50 years ago. And Lyndhurst is affected by it, as is every other town. And you could see, and it's a big issue here in town because we've got a lot of open properties now in these commercial areas. And if we get an application for apartments, we can't just deny them. We can work with them. They come in with a big number. The town generally comes back with a smaller, and they try to arrive at something, because the last thing we want is a builder's remedy lawsuit being brought on the town, because they were always won by the builder. And the most amazing thing happens is that if the builder wins a builder remedy lawsuit, they can come back and completely disregard any of the township zoning laws. Now, I know I keep talking about this, but this is incredibly important, and I think it's going to be one of the major issues in the upcoming gubernatorial election. So we're going to cover that. I'm going to play some of those clips at the end, and I'll leave you the link to the channel from which that was recorded. All right, now as sports, as a season, has been coming pretty much to an end as summer is approaching, but this past weekend we had several Lyndhurst High School athletes representing the high school at the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association. That's the NJSIAA. Now, so what is that? All right, well, it's an association of hundreds of New Jersey high schools that regulates high school athletics and holds tournaments and crowns champions in high school sports. And this past weekend, we're very proud to report here, we had several students who placed, according to Coach Richie Tuero. He says, congratulations to our state group championship medal winners. And it was an awesome weekend. And once again, the name you've all heard me report on many times throughout this year, this wonderful athlete, Julia Todsman. She got third place all Group 2 in the long jump. Then we had Anthony Santana, got fifth place all Group 2, also in the long jump. And the Nicolena Iacono got sixth place all Group 2. It says SP, I believe that's the shot put. And Yasmin Ugurlu, sixth place all Group 2 in TJ. So congratulations to Coach Tuero, all of the coaches involved, and especially to our high school athletes who are always making us proud. You did a great job there, kids. Good work. So that's it for sports that I know of. That's all that was sent to me. So, and as I say, not much to report, but I'm going to talk to you about what's the biggest event that happens every year here in our township. And for those of you who are new to the township. And by the way, I recognize, I see who subscribes, whether it's on YouTube or who also follows on Facebook, and I can see there are many newcomers to town who are listeners. And I'd like to welcome all of you and welcome you to Lyndhurst, and this is why I want you to know about what's coming up. So every single year, probably I believe it was begun in 1989, what they originally had in the park. I think the name's been changed a couple of times. It was called the Concerts Under the Stars. But then about 8 years later, because that was always very successful, everybody would love to come out and listen to live free concerts in the park. About 8 years after that, the Mount Carmel church approached the township and said, listen, what we'd like to do is can we combine forces? Because every year Mount Carmel's been having their feast for probably 100 years, but they used to have it down by Mount Carmel Church. So what they decided to do was to combine the two, because the Mount Carmel event was always huge, and it's the only church in town that actually now has a feast. None of the other churches have a feast. So they close off Delafield Avenue, and literally it's like having the boardwalk of the Jersey Shore in Lyndhurst for those 4 days. So this is gonna be the 32nd annual feast where they are combined within the town park. And that's going to be on July 10th to the 13th. And that's from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. each evening. And on Saturday, it starts a little earlier at 5 p.m. Now, they're going to have tons of fun, lots of good food tents, rides. There'll be rides like the boardwalk, games like the boardwalk, too, and entertainment for the whole family. Now, you can get discount ride tickets at the Rectory at 197 Kingsland Avenue until Wednesday afternoon, July 10th. So this is great if you have children, because there are rides there. You could enjoy delicious Italian food. You could either eat it in or take it out. Or you can try your luck at the Games of Chance while enjoying Lyndhurst's free summer concert series, which is now called The Music Under the Stars. So for more concert information, obviously, you can check out lyndhurstnj.org, which is the town's official website. But they also are going to be featuring nightly 50-50 raffles and a super 50-50, which will be drawn on Saturday evening, July 13th, after the last concert. Now, the Super 50-50 tickets are only $5, and you don't have to be there to win. But last year's winner had won $29,190, an amazing amount of money. So that could be you. So make sure you get your Super 50-50 and your nightly 50-50s. Now, the lineup for talent that evening, Wednesday evening, which is the first night, July 10th, it's going to begin at 7 p.m. with, of course, no stranger to Lyndhurst, The Cameos. Followed by at 9 p.m. with Step by Step, which is music celebrating Johnny Maestro. And by the way, Johnny Maestro used to play in the Lyndhurst concert series years ago. He had been here several times, as a matter of fact. On Thursday, July 11th, it begins at 7 p.m. with LTJ, Larger Than Life. I have no idea who that is. I'm just telling you the names of the act. Followed at 8:30 by Let's Sing Taylor. On Friday, July 12th, 7 p.m. begins with the 70s Rock Parade. That brings a lot of people out. There's a lot of us now who were around in the 70s, love 70s music, and this is very sentimental for us now. And followed at 9 p.m. by Queen Flash. And again on Saturday, which is the final evening, entertainment begins at 7 p.m. with Ray Anderson, followed at 8:30 by The Act, the big headliner. That's Yellow Brick Joel. And what it is, it's a tribute to the music of Billy Joel and Elton John, hence the name Yellow Brick Joel. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that, folks. That's going to be great. It's a face-to-face tribute concert. Now, if you need any information or if you have any questions regarding the feast, you can call the Rectory at 201-935-1177, or you could also email them at olmc@olmclyndhurst.com. You could also find them on Facebook, OLMC Lyndhurst. And don't worry, I will leave all this in the description box. And by the way, I forgot to even give our email address. So if you have any news from your group, organization, your church, school, sport, whatever it may be, weddings and anniversaries of note, you could email them to lyndhurstcommunitynews@gmail.com. And I always thank those of you who do send in your information to me. It helps keep the show chock full of of information of things going on around town. Okay, let's see here. So, as I said earlier, I wanted to play a clip from a recent roundtable. It was actually this June 7th took place. And there's a channel called New Jersey or NJ Spotlight News. They have a YouTube channel. That's how I actually found them, because I got rid of cable. I stream everything now. There's nothing on TV I'm interested in watching. So if you have Verizon or you have Comcast or whatever it's called these days, check to see if you have New Jersey Spotlight News, or you could just go on YouTube and find their YouTube page where they upload pretty much everything you see. And I'll tell you something, it's a great way to know what's going on in the New Jersey state, because if you put on the news, all you're going to hear about is what's going on nationally, internationally, and in Washington. And no matter what your feelings on the subjects may be, most of that stuff doesn't really impact your everyday life. It doesn't impact your home, your town, your school district, your quality of life, your property taxes. It's what happens really in the state that has the largest impact. And, of course, local. That's why state and local politics, I've always said, are really where people's attentions should be. Now, I found this very interesting because you have the four candidates who are running for governor so far, those who have announced, and we have, let's see who the list is here. Jersey City Mayor Steve Fulop. We have former State Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli, who had run last time. Newark Mayor Ras Baraka, and State Senator John Bramnick. He's out of Union. So you have Fulop and Baraka are both Democrats, and Ciattarelli and Bramnick are Republicans. And now they're being asked about what would their solution be to this public affordable housing crisis that we're currently having in the state, because, again, it's court ordered. There's no getting away from it. But right now, every town has to manage their own affordable housing, and that puts a huge burden on the township. For instance, according to the state's own calculations, Lyndhurst is supposedly 700 units short in where it should be with affordable housing. So the question is, well, how do you get to that point? How do you manage that? You just can't all of a sudden build 700 units in the township. And again, you need to have a certain percentage of all new apartments that are built need to be for affordable housing. So how do you manage this? What is the future for this? And this is something that really has not been publicly addressed very much. But now it is. I'm hearing more and more people talking about that. And as I say, in a township like Lyndhurst, where, let's say, on Ridge Road, the old Savino property, directly across from the train station, the Kingswick train station, there's going to be apartment units there. And again, they came in with a larger amount. Town got them to cut it down and make it smaller, which is good. But our hands are tied. So these four gentlemen who are currently running for governor each weigh in on this situation. Now, I'm going to leave the link to this video so you could watch the whole thing. It's only 26 minutes, and they actually talk about some other things. They talk about transportation, climate change, and equity, and some of these other things. But this is the issue that I think matters most. So we're going to start off here. We're going to hear from Senator John Bramnick. He's a Republican out of Union County, who's going to talk about his views on what we can do to deal with this affordable housing.
I would simply not assign a certain number of units to a town. That seems to be planning that it resulted in litigation for the last 40 years. What you need to do is the legislature must really take over this issue. I have a constitutional amendment that would take this away from the courts and put it in the lap of the legislature. The legislature has ignored it over and over again. We're back in the courts. People want to maintain their communities, and they want to feel as if the legislature is in charge, not the courts. So clearly we need affordable housing. There's no doubt about that. But it shouldn't be micromanaged by the courts. In my judgment, the thing to do going forward is, one, make sure it's more affordable to live in this state, because one of the reasons that housing's so expensive is because the state of New Jersey is not affordable. There's been very little effort for the last 20 years by the legislature really to reduce costs. So you have to look at that side of the ledger as well. And finally, it's extremely important that you put together real planners like the people in this room. One thing they don't do in New Jersey is they very rarely look at the long-term issue. Most of the time, we're doing small things. We need to concentrate on big things, and that's why we need the experts in this room, and they'll all be in my administration.
Let me just...
All right, and again, that was State Senator John Bramnick on his opinion and views of how we can handle, or how he would like to handle, this affordable housing situation in the state. Next up is former Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli, who ran last time for governor and is running again. Here's his take on what he thinks needs to be done.
So we have two crises in the state of New Jersey. One, we have a crisis that there's not enough housing, particularly for those at the lowest rungs of the income ladder and middle-income people. But we also have a crisis in New Jersey where we're taking Garden right out of the Garden State by overdeveloping our suburbs. So one of the things I heard during the opening remarks from Sheena and from Pete was that we're not incorporating all of the planning and the development that's taking place, and we need to do things in a smart growth kind of way. I don't see that across New Jersey. So I believe, and I think most of the people in this room, if not 100%, believe in a regional planning approach. I was very fortunate, having served as a Somerset County freeholder, today commissioner, in a county with a county government that had what I believe one of the most robust planning departments in the state. And we took a regional approach to everything. We've got 564 towns, and I've never suggested that not each town should have a skin in the game. They should. But that doesn't mean that there should be high-density housing in every one of those towns. Hillsborough kind of is in the room. I lived there for 25 years up until a year ago. It's a 52-square-mile former cow pasture with one lane in each direction called 206. Stay off it for your own well-being. We have a Home Depot. We have a Kohl's. We have a ShopRite. And so there are jobs there. But beyond that, not a whole lot of jobs, no infrastructure, no mass transit. And we're losing builder remedy suit after builder remedy suit, and 4- and 5-story buildings are going up in a town where people have to get in their car, and we've just added more idling cars to our roads, which flies in the face to anyone's position on sustainability. I find it hypocritical. There's a great many people that want to put high-density housing everywhere, but then on the other side of the ledger, they're saying we have a sustainability problem in New Jersey. So these are the crises that we face. I believe we need to take a regional planning approach with each town having a skin in the game to meet the affordable housing crisis we have in New Jersey. We don't have enough affordable housing.
All right, and that was Jack Ciattarelli, and his idea is to make it more of a regional rather than putting the onus on every municipality, which I kind of think is a good idea. I mean, people don't understand this at all, and this has to be something where you can take action. People get aggravated when they see things going up in their township. They don't want apartment buildings. I get that. But you need to get on the phone and call your state legislators because they have to start making moves on this. This is a really situation that it's just not going to be solved with a silver bullet. But they do have to address this. But instead of kicking this can down the road, because nobody ever wants to deal with it, get on the phone and call your legislators because they're really the people who can get these things in motion by getting some new legislation passed that could come up with a framework that works. Now, again, because this has been an individual municipal responsibility, the next two people from whom we're going to hear are both mayors, and mayors of the two largest cities in the state, Jersey City and Newark. So it's curious because they personally know what it's like to have to deal with these things, and each has his own opinion. And we're going to start off here with Mayor Steve Fulop from Jersey City. Here's his ideas.
So then the obvious question is, if you believe in affordable housing, which we all collectively do, and I believe the majority of New Jerseyans do, but they get sucked into this vortex of the conversation of the loudest people that are constantly saying, not in my backyard. Most people believe that New Jersey should be affordable for everywhere. So how do you get there? What type of policies? First, we have so many municipalities, and most people in New Jersey do not have visibility into what their municipality is doing. Are they complying with Mount Laurel? Are they complying with the obligations? I believe that if most people understood and saw what their municipality was doing, they would feel a certain way about it rather than just having the squeaky wheel move the needle on that. Secondly, you need the carrot and the stick from the state. You need the state to say, this is what we need you to do. You need the state to say, here who is complying in a transparent way. And if you are complying, you should be rewarded. And if you are not complying, that should also be a conversation around your state aid and your help, because you are not driving the agenda that is necessary in New Jersey. So I think transparency and carrot or stick. We have a lot of experience in Jersey City with housing. We've built more housing than anybody in the last 10 years. I've been an advocate for Jersey City participating in our obligations around affordable housing because I think Jersey City should be leading from the front on this. But at the end of the day, you do need transparency and you need the carrot and the stick in order to drive this. And spreading it out throughout New Jersey, delaying the process, we've seen that for 10 years, 20 years. It doesn't solve the problem.
And Mayor Phillip makes a good point, and that is that most people in every town have absolutely no idea what their town is doing to handle and mitigate the affordable housing mandate that each town must live up to. So that's good to hear from a mayor, his take, and obviously Jersey City has an awful lot of housing, and as you heard him say, they've probably built the most in the last 10 years. But let's move on to Newark Mayor Ras Baraka and hear what he has to say.
Hey, we're probably the only people up here that are building actual affordable housing, period. We just got 9% tax credit to build 100% affordable housing here. Are we building at a rate that's faster than the city is growing? Absolutely not. That's why we need state support and state help. First of all, I think we need to understand how severe this problem is, and I don't think we understand that. There are 300,000 residents in the state of New Jersey who are low-income renters, where 3/4 of them are burdened because they pay 50% of their income on housing. This is a problem. About 11,000 people in this state right now are concentrated in 5 cities who are threatened to lose their housing right now because we don't have the money or the funds to keep affordability in the housing that they have. 4,000 people in the state of New Jersey right now have vouchers, Section 8 vouchers, in their hand and cannot find housing right now. On top of that, the state is short 230,000 units of housing right now today. This is a real crisis. And the crisis is just not affecting poor people or black and brown people. It is driving the cost of living up in this state of New Jersey. There is a market. This is why people in Newark complaining, because there's a market for luxury housing. That's why Newark has the fastest growing rents. That's why 90% of the rental units in places like Hoboken and Jersey City are above $2,000, right? Because there is a market for luxury housing. Because if I live in the suburbs of New Jersey and I go to school and go to college, get a great job, I can't afford to buy a home in that community. So I go to places like Newark, like Jersey City, like Hoboken. Why? There are about 125,000 people in the state who can get in a house today, who have the credit scores, who have the funding, but the mortgage, the cost is too high for housing, so they move to Newark to drive costs.
So how does the Baraka administration, state administration, make sure everybody's working to get to those goals?
There are multiple things that we need to do. One, we need to create land trusts, as was said earlier, to make sure there are areas in places that are affordable and maintain affordability, that we put funding in places so people don't lose their affordable housing construct, so they are not pushed out because rents are increasing, that their rents are stabilized and remain the same. When you build more housing across the state of New Jersey, not just in the 7 cities that was talked about in Atlantic City, you can't just concentrate all the development in 7 or 8 or 9 cities. That's not going to affect affordability in the state of New Jersey. It's not. You need.
Okay, and that was Mayor Ras Baraka of Newark, and he did have a little bit more to say, but the time was running a little bit long on today's show. But I'm going to leave the link below. The whole thing is 26 minutes, and the part on affordable housing is probably about half of that. But again, a very important issue that I believe is going to become one of the main issues in the upcoming gubernatorial election. So those are the 4 candidates who have already announced. There may be others, even though most likely these will be they. But again, call your legislators, and they have to start to understand that people want action taken to solve this problem, one way or another. How are we going to manage this? How is a town like Lyndhurst expected to continue to provide up to 700 units when we're already quite dense as it is? So that's that. And that's pretty much it, folks. So moving into the summer, if any of you have ideas of topics you would like for me to cover, because the news is going to get very light, it already is, let me know. Send me an email. We will take a summer break right after or toward the end of July, first week of August. But in the meantime, remember, if you have any news, send it to LyndhurstCommunityNews@gmail.com. And as always, the fire department tells me to please remind you all to check the batteries on your smoke detectors and your carbon monoxide detectors because they save lives. And I'm always going to remind you that we have volunteer firemen in this town. Thank God for that. And we thank them for putting their lives on the line for us. We have wonderful first responders, from the police department to the emergency squad to the fire department. We've got such great people working in town, from the parks department to the Department of Public Works, all the staff and all the offices. They're great, wonderful people. That's what I love about this community. We stick together. We help each other. Yes, it's a small town, but we like it that way. We like walking down the street seeing familiar faces. We love the fact that when something's gone, we can celebrate with one another, or we can be in sorrow and grief with one another and be there for one another in times of need. So as I always say, make sure you get to know your neighbors because that's what makes community. We're not roads, streets, and buildings. We are people. People make community. So get to know your neighbors. Help your elderly neighbors to the best that you can. And let's keep Lyndhurst the wonderful community it always has been and always will be. Until next week, this is Brian Haggerty saying God bless you and God bless Lyndhurst.